Good morning to everyone. My name is Aisha Idayu binti Madihi, and my group members are Said Haris Yusuf, Alia Iklima, Tony Vincent, and Jovina. For my part, I will be presenting the essential technical specification that will be used. First is switch. The switch that we will be using is 1000 BST gigabit Ethernet, and the reasons are it has the speed rate of 1 gigabit per second, which allows data to be transferred at high speed. It is also cost effective because the cable used to connect to it is cheap and can be found easily. Secondly, the cable used is category 5E unshielded twisted pair because it is suitable for connecting small number of devices. Twisted pair cable is less expensive and is the most used cable. When it comes to cost, it is cost effective because even though it doesn't have any protection from electrical interference, but the twist of this cable can help to reduce the electrical noise. It also has a maximum speed capability of 100 MHz and 1 gigabit up to 100 meters. Thirdly, the wireless access point used is IEEE 802.11 AC. This IEEE has 300 meters of maximum speed indoor. Its frequency is 5 gigahertz, meaning that there will be less wireless interference, and it also has an excellent connection reliability in crowded areas. Although it is expensive in price, but the transferring of huge files can be sent at a high speed, which is worth the price. Next, the type of wireless router is Wi-Fi 6. This Wi-Fi has a bandwidth from 80 MHz to 160 MHz, which means users will have a faster connection experience and can upload and download huge files without any problems. With Best Service Station Color (BSS), there will be less interference from surrounding wireless networks and thus less conflicts with other networks. Lastly, we will be using a wired router and its type is Ethernet broadband router. Wired router have many advantages, such as wired connection does not get influenced by other network connection easily, and this shows that wired router are stable and reliable. When it comes to speed, wired connection has higher speed compared to wireless, especially when we are using gigabit Ethernet. That is all from me, and now my other group members will be continuing the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, next, we have decided that the most suitable network topology to link these three offices together is through mesh topology with virtual private network VPN tunnel across the internet. In this way, these tunnels can provide secure connections among them, even though the devices are placed at different locations. This topology design prevents users from experiencing bottlenecks. It means if one site is down or broken, the other sites can still continue, operate, or exchange data normally. Despite it offers a good design, mesh topology requires much more configurations or setups on each router in order to work. In terms of cost, it is inexpensive. That's all for me.
First, I am going to talk about the location of file and web servers. First, the file and web server should be located in Office B since it is far away from other employees. The building of Office B is not encircled by other buildings compared to others' offices. Servers should be in a low traffic area to properly guard the organization's data from security breach and only allowing those who are authorized to access the room. Furthermore, they need to be operated physically separately from the working places as they can be quite noisy while running. To enhance the security and track those who enter the room, the door should use face recognition or an electronic keypad with a secure password. Servers and related equipment generate a considerable amount of heat in a relatively small area. To overcome this issue, the room needs to be large enough so that air can circulate and maintain the internal temperature of the room. The external temperature of the room should also be maintained and controlled. The most significant thing in determining the location of the file and web servers is the secludedness and the security of the location to protect the organization's data. Then, I will discuss the ways to ensure optimum performance of both servers. Optimization is necessary to refine the server performance and efficiency. An optimized server can eliminate unnecessary steps in the process to save time, minimize errors, and avoid duplicate work. First of all, one of the ways to optimize the performance of the server is to set up a quick reverse proxy. Usually, the server retrieves the script from the disk, performs the script, then loads the data and assembles the file. Since this is a huge amount of workload that needs to be done, it is simply easier for the server to send files directly from the memory instead of repeating the whole process. The reverse proxy will serve as a link between servers and visitors. When the second customer requests for the same file as the first one, the server can fetch the file from the memory without any delay. Secondly, enabling caching is one of the best ways to improve server speed. With caching, the website can cut site load time by more than 50%. Caching helps servers to save time fetching the files from the disk, retrieving the database, executing application codes, and assembling results into HTML page whenever a user refreshes their page. The files are already cached and can save the loading time, especially when a lot of people are trying to access the same file simultaneously. Thirdly, optimizing the database is also an effective way to hone the server performance as it can reduce the response times from the database system. Websites use the database to store product data and content such as text and media files. Since the developers have to modify the pages, change listed products and add new pages from time to time, it can leave empty spaces in the database. The little gaps are actually the place of deleted data, but it never gets loaded again. This is known as fragmentation and causes the application to fetch data for a longer time. To defragment, the database should be checked regularly and operate optimization query and keep the website from performing slowly. Furthermore, upgrading the hardware occasionally will affect the server positively, increasing the server speed. First of all, the greater the RAM, the better the server performance. RAM usage has to be monitored and add more memory when it's almost at full capacity. Bigger RAM gives more spaces for network buffers and for simultaneous CGIs to be executed. Secondly, manage a proper hard disk by keeping tracks on available spaces, installing new drives, and delete any unnecessary files. Upgrade the hard disk to solid state drive for the database partition that can lessen the load time by 10%. Also, SSD storage is much faster than that of a hard disk and have greater read-write speed. That's all for me.
The overall network can be protected against external intruders or hackers, which include protection against unauthorized network access, illegal file server access, and DOS, which is denial of service attack, to the web server by implementing SSL, which is secret socket layer. This is a crucial first step to do because SSL encrypts the data transferred across your website. Next, password policy in the network should be excellent, since a good password policy will prevent attacks like brute force. We need to implement a strong password that has a mix of alphabet, numbers, and special characters. We should also avoid using the same password on multiple accounts and consider changing the password regularly every 60 or so days, at least on your more important account like bank apps or email. Other than that, we can also activate two-factor authentication. Having this setting activated will allow us to control whoever is accessing the account. With two-factor authentication, the user has to not only log in the usual way, which is via a username and password, but also enter a code they received to another device, usually a mobile phone. Single sign-on or SSO really helps you to manage account easier as you only need to remember one master password when you have a centralized user directory. Just in case something is wrong, the admin can easily remove access from that account. For instance, if an employee leaves your company, instead of having to remove the access from multiple accounts, you can disable it in one go with SSO. Using a firewall will help to protect the network from any unauthorized network access. All computers and networks should have either hardware or a software firewall. The difference is that a hardware firewall is a physical device that you can connect to your network, while the software firewall is a program installed on your computer that prevents unauthorized access. At the end of the day, don't just rely on software or hardware to protect you against unauthorized access. A lot of programs themselves have different vulnerability that a skilled hacker can exploit. Fortunately, these are usually dealt with in new patches and updates or by installing the latest driver. As we know this day, viruses, spyware and malware can be found anywhere. Most common sources are from email. So it is recommended to handle emails with care. Never open email attachment from addresses you don't know. At the same time, even if an email does not contain a malware-infected attachment, they are often used for phishing attack. In this case, the email will appear from the legitimate sources, but will lead you to a fake website where they can steal your password and other data.
Okay, the next is how to control Facebook access during office hour. There is two methods. The first one is block through company internet router. How to do it is by firstly the router's IP address needs to be identified, and then open the router's login page by typing the IP address of the router into the internet browser search bar, and then look at the content filter features. Usually, it can be found in firewall or content section. And lastly, add Facebook URL in the content filter section. By doing that, all computers on the network are blocked from accessing Facebook. However, for the company business page still can be accessed by leave the Facebook business URL open to access. The second method is block through Windows host file. The first step is search Notepad application in the Windows Start menu and right-click it. Secondly, select the option to run as administrator and then click File. Navigate to the local DC drive in File Explorer window and then open the Windows folder followed by open the System32 and Drivers folder. Then select to see all files and right-click the file and select Properties. The next step is click the check box and enable full control mode from the Security tab. Then open the host file in Notepad. And then add new line by type 127.0.0.1 and then type facebook.com, then add another line and type m.facebook.com to block mobile version, and then save and confirm the changes in the notepad and restart the computers. By doing that, all computers on the network are blocked from accessing Facebook. The best way to implement the control of Facebook access during office hours is by blocking it through internet router, as only the router setting need to be changed compared to the second method that need to be done manually for each computers that costs a lot of effort to do it. That's all for our presentation. Thank you.